That's another keeper crappie.
Some of the best yet. Some of the best yet. They fight like that, like that, like that. Big bass, double digits.
Pick up the fire right on top. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're gonna have a little bit of fun today on a dock. And if you're not aware, I caught my first fish ever fishing a fishing dock in Southern California. So this scenario is something that I am very comfortable with and really goes back to how I started in fishing. So we're gonna do a little pan fishing here today, and I'm gonna show you guys how I would methodically break down fishing a dock like the one we're on today. So we've got 10-pound Defiant braid. It's got the diameter of like 2-pound monofilament. It's really thin, and normally I do like fishing a fluorocarbon leader, but here on this river system the visibility is not very good, so I'm not too concerned with these panfish being line shy. And I like braid for a couple reasons. Number one, it's ultra sensitive. There's no stretch in this line, so I can feel every minute little bite. And number two, there's no memory. See how limp this line is? It handles really well. You don't have coils of mono or fluorocarbon coming off that spool. But most importantly, you can feel everything. And we're fishing an 1/8 ounce jig head, just a round ball head with like an 1.5 inch crappie body. It's got a single tail. Gives it a nice subtle action that those panfish just can't resist. So the way I break down fishing a dock like this is very similar to how I break down bodies of water, and it's always through the process of elimination. So as a kid, I'd start from the shallowest portions of the dock and work my way deeper, and it's as simple as finding prominent pieces of cover. In this case, the actual dock pilings themselves. Those panfish will feed on invertebrates that live on the algae and the film that grows on the actual dock components. And I'll work my way out deeper. And most of the time I can target these panfish very specifically in this fashion. These tend to be the high percentage targets on a dock. And occasionally they will be in the spacing between the docks. So I can fish that jig from piling to piling. But if they're aggressive and there's a lot of panfish here, this is a great way to quickly find out. All I'm doing is I'm dropping this jig vertically straight to the bottom, and I'm slowly jigging this bait up through the column. And obviously with these first 3 pilings being really shallow, I can quickly move on, because if they're there, they'll either eat it on that initial fall or right when I start the jigging motion. Gotta love panfish for their eagerness and aggressiveness. And there's no point in sitting in one spot if you're not getting bit. I think that might be one of the biggest mistakes I see early anglers adopting, is they take that cast and wait and patience model too far. You first got to locate those fish, and even with pan fishing, try to develop a pattern. So I'm noticing as I'm getting further and further out on the dock, it's getting slightly deeper. And at some point, this dock is going to intersect the actual river channel where it drops off. And where these panfish will locate and position themselves is going to change daily and even hourly. We're actually on a tidal system, so the actual depth of the water here on this dock is in constant flux. So it keeps you guessing. But it's what makes this fun, even on a very fundamental fishing platform like a dock. Now we're just gonna hit every one of these dock pilings until we can actually get bit and try to find where the bulk of the population of panfish is situating themselves. And one thing to observe is I've been fishing this whole time on the sunny side of the dock, and right now I haven't got a single bite. So after this last flip here, we're gonna change tactics and start targeting the pilings that are sitting in the shade to see if that makes a difference. Process of elimination. I just fished the entire sunny side of this dock. Now we're shifting gears and I'm trying the shaded portions, which in my experience will tend to hold those fish, especially crappie. Crappie seem to be pretty light sensitive. And another behavioral observation I've made about crappies is that they actually prefer a bait that's moving up and away from them. You notice they actually have an upturned mouth, so evolution has conditioned them to want to feed in that upward manner. So all I'm doing is I'm dropping it to the bottom. I'm watching my line in case one eats it on the sink, and I'm just going to slowly jig. Occasionally, oh, I just got a first little nibble. So that was only my second post in the shade here. And I actually changed my presentation slightly, and I stopped jigging it and just held it in place. Sometimes these fish get inactive, and just holding that bait there motionless, or what we think is motionless, is getting that bait just to subtly move, especially if there's current like there is here. And that can trigger some bites, but that's a good sign. I got my first bite here on the second shaded post. It's monkey see, monkey do with these panfish. So if you can figure out how to catch one, you can usually duplicate that success. Once you start figuring out the key pieces of the puzzle: depth, shade, exposed sunlight, could be a variety of factors. But we're going to get deeper and deeper here as I try not to step off of this dock. I'm pretty confident we're going to find some panfish. And this is how you can be ultra efficient when you're limited to the amount of space that you're able to fish. Because as a kid, the pier was my best bet to get off the bank. And it gave me access to deeper fish, deeper presentations that you just can't employ from the shoreline. And docks are just great pieces of cover that all kinds of game fish relates to. These panfish that live on these docks are a key forage base for a lot of the predator fish. I mean, these docks have been pounded by the bass anglers. Catfish anglers sit out in front of them in the deeper holes. They're beacons of life and a great place to do some pan fishing. Oh gosh, that thing waxed it. Well, we just changed tactics, guys. We went through that whole process of elimination. Oh no, oh my god, disaster. We just changed tactics through that process of elimination on the big attractive dock and came over to this other short dock on the property here. And first drop, got a nice crappie, 10-11 inch range, kind of on the cusp, but we're gonna put that one in the box. Crappie is one of my favorite fish to eat. Nice big dark male. Fish are trying to get up shallow and spawn. I don't know if you guys can tell right now, but it's pretty windy. So even though I'm fishing really shallow, and even though we're fishing really shallow and vertically, I'm gonna go with a little bit heavier head just so I can keep contact with my bait. So this 1/8 ounce head is gonna be perfect for what we're doing. And as far as connection knots, I always tie a trilene knot to the end of my line. It has been a fantastic knot for me for almost 30 years now. And you guys have probably seen me boat flipping really large fish with this knot. So I'm fairly confident in its ability to hoist a 1 pound fish up and over the side of this dock. To that 1 ounce jig head, I've got an 1.5 inch crappie body, single tail. Make sure you rig it straight, otherwise that bait won't work properly. Okay, get it perfectly centered, just like that. And we're gonna be dropping it down to the bottom and then just slowly jigging it up. and those crappie are gonna wanna come up and eat it, just like that. And the key is when you feel that bite, Jim, don't yank.
I did it!
This braid has got no stretch, so all you gotta do is easily lift up. And we'll hopefully land some of these panfish. So you guys notice here? Like, it's really shallow. There's like 1.5 foot of water. So I want that bait at least mid-column. If they're there, they're gonna show you pretty quickly. This dock is a beautiful spot. It's built right over the crown of a cypress tree. So there's multiple options for cover for these fish to relate to. And I'm just gonna be walking around stealthily on this thing. Try not to spook these fish. And just pick this place apart. I'm gonna try every little gap in between the cover. Oh, that was a good one. That was instant. That one actually bit on the fall. So I always want to control my descent. Those are probably sunfish. Crappie will inhale that whole jig. That's a crappie, just like that. And these things are nicknamed paper mouths. And if you guys saw, I didn't jerk on that fish too much, but look, already got a big hole in that really thin membrane in its jaw. So if you try to Mike Iconellium and swing really hard, you're gonna tear an even bigger hole, and a couple of those big head shakes will allow that jig just to fall out of their mouth. So that's another keeper crappie. You guys might have been fooled by the classic crappies you might have seen on the Clear Lake episode, but that really was a very unique trophy class fishery. This is about the average that I find throughout most of the country, but good fish for the table. Oh, you guys see that one? My line just started shooting off as that bait was sinking. Pan fishing teaches you so many incredible fundamentals of fishing that translate to all different styles, whether you want to take it to the top of the competitive tournament bass fishing scene or just want to continue having fun. I appreciate this little guy. We're gonna let this one go just for good karma. Good luck, man. Lucky, today's your lucky day. Woo! You get lots of engagement, lots of opportunity to learn. Now, I'm always going to be an advocate for experience, and the experience you can gain fishing a micro crappie jig like this is invaluable. Too many anglers I know are so one-dimensional. They just never give themselves an opportunity to bang a giant Virginia ring perch. Check that out. The rest of this country calls this a yellow perch, but here, this is a ring perch. Can you guys figure out why? Here, let's get this guy to open their mouth up. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at those beautiful bars, those orange fins. You can learn so much about a fishery and the ecosystem down there that can allow you to make better decisions on lure choices. There's a wise man here on this property. Legend has it he's had incredible success on ring perch pattern floating rapalas, and maybe this is the reason why. It's something they see quite a bit. So that's a fantastic perch. I filleted much smaller ones, so we're gonna put this one in the box. Slab, son. Look at that. This subtle jigging motion is all it takes. It's nice to fish in this dingy water because you can get away with that straight braid. You don't have to deal with the nonsense of that fluorocarbon leader. And chartreuse in white, chartreuse in black are probably two of my favorite dirty water low light colors. Panfish are fantastic in that they typically school, so if you catch one, you're going to catch many. Now, we're in a season where a lot of these male black crappies are spawning, so they all defend a small crater-like nest, anywhere from 1 foot to 4 feet apart. So we're probably not going to find like a big wad of suspended crappies that you can catch multiple fish making the same drop over and over, but you can just shift your bait, move over a couple feet, and catch another territorial crappie. And I'm utilizing that same strategy. I'm letting the jig fall to the bottom, and I'm gonna slowly jig it up. Every few inches I'm gonna stop, let it hover and suspend. And actually the last couple bites I've had happened when I stopped jigging the bait. I'm gonna pick apart every one of these pilings. Oh, cracked me. You got me in the crack. Oh man, that's so cool. That really takes it back. Back in the day as a kid, the gaps in between the planks on the pier were big enough just to drop a jig through it. And just like that, we whacked another nice keeper crappie. I hope you guys have enjoyed this short, fun episode on a little dock fishing for panfish. Subscribe to the channel for more content. We've got all kinds of stuff for you guys. Lily Island Retreat. We'll leave some info in the description below. You guys got to come check this place out. It's an incredible fishery that you have access to right here on the property. I'm Oliver Nye.
Some of the best yet. Some of the best yet. They bite like that, like that, like that. Big bass, double digits.
Pick up the fire right on top.
Low fall, blast off, trying to get some cast off. Doing this here for years, get my pass on. Dream mask on, putting in work. Snap back, got me focused, never settle on the shirt. I missed one and hit one, man, that's getting some. 2, 3, 4, 5 more, come on, that's ripping up. The way the bass miss sticking, the way my feet.